kojon cancer Lilwin dia nyina yenim no Ghana for enim so yes ni twafo san so yes ni yifo no na nsenya mo no the movie be back home movie no the center of attraction and as a main character Ibrahim Traore yes Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso omo military leader na nsenya oba through coup d'etat na ono nso yate ne ho nsensem bebre se wo mu so de coup d'etat na betina edwa so de nenso oba ne ho modern pa na wei ana kojo cancer Lilwin ese ni obeyi movie bi e de afa ne ho na sa movie no emfi ase ni nyina e kire se okobo obosia kese bi ba every bank for se ne be betumi aboa no na ne djuma odie ne tumi akoso wano nanso osi sasike yoji ye ni nyina e kire no ofi ase otwa movie na nkofo bi efre no e ka kire ne se kojo cancer be bia wo ko de anu ya shinti ebe ya o de beji dollars yibi na jai movie na wutwa ne sanse emwa wo ono nso so de onti ase wesi na kuma pi se obeye dia oye ne de onim ne nti ese wo ka che ne se onyai sanse it is for entertainment purposes and it is also for educative purposes na enimsa movie ni de yeyi a enye sere ye nko ana mom yetumi sua bibi efri mu na ni nyina kire no kojo cancer Lilwin se sa dollars no wanye nanso oba fontin tan so the dollars ne be kire ye ema ye hu sampo okra dollars nanso si we de wanye mfi nkofo no ensem nti ogusu a wakope baabi dan kese pa dan mantam kese pa chese one ni crew egu ma omu twa movie na opa chese ho na nkofo bi omo hye max eba ho no ma be ye ho basa be sese niam ewo ho ama chese efiera na efie ne ye ne de ampose ne sa de omo mpage omo niama no omo free ho no omo konensu kojo cancer Lilwin se ne akosie ne de omo de omo nyuma no ebegu form de nensu movie no baby omo twedu no na nkofo se Lilwin de o pasem susurasem ade we de jama o de happy o movie no enu nti na wo ye ne sa no ye wo videos bi awo ho no me very interesting video pa ye nkwohwe emra Pinaxtv ye dase
adofo good evening Ghana from church mo nyina edwa ye twa ya to ndi Ibrahim Traore pacho anadwi yi moshi besi amanye breki edwa no ama ba bia ye twa movie no fiwa na si on tiase eme ye edwa ni bi also na edwa ni nyina echi na me president ifiwa na ye twa bibia na ene say ye edwa na fita na pa na ba awia ba du ya no motos be 9 to 10 boys o maximum na wapi aba set so adaya yenye edwuma ezi nye edwuma ade te yenye edwuma adaya mo social media say e ma open for PC yenye edwuma ade bi so yenye na mmese obrisi abrami na mrs na mi nyai obi so edwuma ama gedi de ko so we got to musa pede ss fio na ma fio so ko han de bi e more than 15,000 per day if you want ama mo sa se ne ma tumira e fa fon se de me frɛ asante media minister me say media minister me fiki say me frɛ media minister me yes me ko na apɛ o de wait to preach me tell them ko am basa se ne ma no to ko wie no one and if you are so wait me I mean to do so ma say ne ma e be se ma dey wie ne mo bi asana e ti ba twa ma o ma ba o ma papa ne gas it one do so ma say ni na e do matimi ama official ba if you are so want me e dey be me thank God say na djuma ne atwa beduru no sabi ya twebe ko na we dey nya dey o say epi ni mo ne se ke compete ti say na asi ama djuma na e be ke nyume ye change me to no so bi be nyakopon aya ade ye nya no e ka se sha e be so ibi kama e nyame asi na minim kwashe o musha max o we bibi ani max ye like say o ma fa sikai anama o ma bro bi ani mo me na ma se fo ne ma ama fi no se wentimi e me papa e nya djuma no me me unu ko se na e ko se man for see nya djuma no unu se obi mo bi ne ye na ha ma ko issue bi ba to an tiase ama ye ntran to djuma so we inside no ade ya sa ko won ne man ko ama pai tama djuma no ye breke djuma but still ye nya no I'll show you say me the baba won tire the ye nya no e be so fu mu no e be so am super ye be yin sa ye duro so no fu ye nya no obi abati ase obi abati ase nko bo shem nya se nya ko mo aboa ama de asibia no eye o se mfa sina ma So be emperor, and then must make us read the regular. I'm gonna phone. Let me share with you guys.
The president of Ivory Coast has just been overthrown. Many Africans throughout the world, within the continent of Africa, has been seeking for freedom. Freedom of self-government. Freedom to have an elected representative that has the voice of the people. It has become a tragedy for African leaders to be overthrown. From the area of triangular slave trade to the current state of African movement for liberty, freedom, and justice. Justice that represents the African continent as a whole. And look at the state of drowning of many Africans seeking to cross into European territory. They drowned while seeking for freedom. Africa is one of the most richest minerals on the planet, and yet they become strangers in their territory. Europe has 0 minerals, but it is the richest on the planet. Africans abandon their own territory, seeking for greener pasture, moving into Europe. Sometimes they drown, sometimes they kill, and sometimes they become enslaved. Not only enslaved, but in the process of moving into Europe. And what is the problem? The problem is the key leadership within African continent. The leaders of Africa, they look like they are enslaved that were kept by the colonial masters. Sometimes they said they have independence. In reality, they don't have independence. They are just a representative of enslaved masters. France in particular, there are 14 countries in Africa whose language is French. They are all slaves. It is a moment that many of the military has turned against the French system. However, the French are resistance, sponsoring indigenous by providing weapons so that they can overthrow a legitimate government that will speak the voice. Traoré is one of those leaders that speak the voice of the people, and yet he doesn't speak the voices of the colonial masters, and so he has become the subject of overthrow. And France has fundamentally, so it is the duty of the people to stand with them, with these leaders that is changing the culture of colonialism to a more free, prosperous Africa. Now, let's look at what has just happened to Ivory Coast. The problem is not just to overthrow the government. The problem is, what do you do with the government that you have just overthrown? I think I would explore different philosophical view that the leaders is better to work with the people whom you want to liberate and listen to them why and what is the best interest. First, the suffering of the masses of Africa. The key problem for any development for Africa is the infrastructural development. Africa is the worst in the world when it comes to in terms of infrastructural development. Infrastructural development has relegated Africa into the worst nightmare. But before moving forward, what is the key that can change the culture of this infrastructural development? is educational system. African education system focused by the view that instituted by the colonial masters, that of administrative authority. The divisional officer, like in Cameroon, that is more common. They have more authority than the scientists, the engineers. And so for Africa to move forward and achieve, the key goal is infrastructural development, research development, educational system. Africa must in any way ensure that education system is the background or the backbone of moving forward. So if you have just resumed the power in Ivory Coast, or you have just taken over the power of Ivory Coast, I may not provide the best information, but I think listening to what is the suffering of the masses, another key element that frustrates Africa is the banking system. Europeans control the financial system. Sometimes they call it IMF. I call it international monetary fraud. It does not represent the interests of Africa. If the paper money that we utilize as a means of exchange, the paper money is made out of wood, and those wood are from Africa. But the Europeans make it us to understand that they had to control how much amount of money need to be made available for circulations. I think that is the key glue that Africans have been made to become a slave. This financial institution must be transformed, and that Africa must be able to decide what amount of money can be made available for circulations without jeopardizing the economic system, and not solely France or Europeans deciding the culture of this monetary policy. So